I put together a parlay with total odds of 26. Let's break it down. First parlay, first pick. Ghana versus Panama. I found a very interesting bet for this parlay, and now I'll explain why I like it. At first glance, bookmakers make Ghana a slight favorite. But if you take a closer look at the style of both teams and their recent results, a pretty interesting scenario starts to appear here. Let's start with Ghana. The Africans are going through a difficult period. Yes, the team qualified confidently by winning its group, but the last few years can hardly be called successful. Failure at the Africa Cup of Nations, constant squad changes, and a coaching change all show that the nation team is in a rebuilding phase. The team is now led by Carlos Queiroz, who has always been known for building organized defense and playing for the result. However, before the start of the World Cup, Ghana has serious squad problems. Thomas Partey, the main man in midfield, will not be able to help the team. Alexander Djiku, one of the defensive leaders, is also injured. For a team like this, those are very painful losses. Yes, Inaki Williams and Anthony Semenyo are still available up front and can decide an episode through individual quality. But the overall structure of the team raises questions right now. Please leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, where you will find truly deep and well-argued match analysis. Thank you, let's keep moving. Now let's talk about Panama. I think many people underestimate this team. Under Thomas Christensen, Panama has been playing fairly modern football for a long time now. They press actively, are not afraid to keep the ball, and try to play as the dominant side even against serious opponents. Yes, their defense is far from perfect, and 6 goals conceded against Brazil and 2 goals against the Dominican Republic show. But at the same time, the team consistently creates chances and almost always finds its opportunities going forward. I especially like the fact that Panama has scored in 5 straight matches, and they scored not only against weaker opponents, but also against Brazil and Bosnia. Even when Panama is outclassed, they still try to play their football and look for chances near the opponent's goal. I think this match will be fairly open. Ghana will most likely give up the ball and rely on quick attacks through Semenyo and Inaki Williams. Panama, as usual, will try to play actively and spend a lot of time in attack. And when one team likes to counterattack, while the other regularly leaves space behind, changes appear on both sides. For the parlay, I am taking Panama to score. For the wild parlay, I'll take 1x plus both teams to score, yes, at odds of 2.5. Guys, a quick announcement. I have a Telegram channel where I've been posting very good stats lately. Over the last few days, I gave 16 wins and only 3 losses. Everything is completely transparent and honest. Daily reports with screen recordings and a huge amount of feedback from you guys. I don't hide my face. I pay taxes as a registered business owner and I run several YouTube channels. I left the link to my Telegram channel in the video description below. Let's continue the breakdown. First parlay, second pick, Uzbekistan versus Colombia. I found a pretty interesting option for the parlay here, and now I'll explain why I like it. Straight away, I want to say that I have huge respect for Uzbekistan. The team qualified for the World Cup for the first time in its history, went through a very serious Asian qualification campaign, and earned the right to play at this tournament. But still, an opening World Cup match against Colombia is an extremely tough test. Let's start with Uzbekistan. The team had an excellent qualifying campaign, finishing behind only Iran and leaving the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and other solid national teams behind. But we need to understand that the level of resistance at the World Cup will be completely different. Before the tournament, Uzbekistan played friendly matches against Canada and the Netherlands, losing both. The match against the Netherlands has especially telling, because it was clear that under high tempo and serious pressure, the defense started to struggle. The team's main hope is Abazbek Feyzulayev and several quick attacking players who can break away on the counterattack. But against an organized South American team, there will be very little space. Plus, let's not forget that this is Uzbekistan's debut World Cup. Opening game nerves will almost certainly play a role too. Now let's talk about Colombia. I think many people slightly underestimate this national team. Colombia came through one of the toughest qualifying tournaments in the world in South America and finished among the leaders alongside Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay. Yes, there were defeats to France and Croatia in friendly matches, but those are top European teams. Before the World Cup, Colombia calmly dealt with Costa Rica and John, showing a good balance between defense and attack. I really like Colombia's current attack. The team plays quickly, uses the wings aggressively, and knows how to create pressure throughout the match. What is especially important is that Colombia rarely lowers the tempo after scoring. If they get the lead, they continue looking for the second and third goal. In my opinion, a lot here will depend on how long Uzbekistan can maintain defensive concentration. The first half may be cautious, but as the match develops, the difference in class should become more noticeable. Colombia simply plays more often against high-level opponents and is better prepared for a tournament like this. For the parlay, I am taking total over 2 goals. For the wild parlay, I'll take Colombia team total over 2 goals at odds of around 2.1. Guys, when it comes to juicy odds, I don't want to use my main bankroll, because odds above 2 are still risky. That's why I usually like using welcome bonuses from partners. I signed up, made the minimum deposit, and received 5 bonus activations. Basically, I load each bonus onto one parlay exactly for those juicy odds. If the bet lands, the bonus gets multiplied by the big odds and moves into my main bankroll, and I can withdraw it. If it doesn't land, then I don't spend money from my main bankroll, which is also nice. The portal is official and works reliably. I left the link to the bonuses and full conditions in the pinned message in my Telegram channel. The promotion is still active for now. Let's keep moving. Second parlay first pick, Czech Republic versus South Africa. I found a very interesting option for the parlay here, and now I'll explain why I like it. In my opinion, this is exactly the kind of case where a defeat in the first round can actually help the Czechs. After the setback against South Korea, they basically have no room for error now. If they don't take 3 points here, everything will depend on the match against Mexico, and that is a completely different level of difficulty. Let's start with the Czech Republic. Despite the defeat to South Korea, the game itself was far from hopeless. Yes, the Czechs lost statistically and in terms of XG, but the team still managed to open the scoring and kept the opponent under pressure for a long time through set pieces. In general, under Miroslav Kovac, this has already become the national team's trademark weapon. Long throw-ins, free kick deliveries, corners, these elements create a huge part of their danger. The only goal against South Korea came exactly after one of those situations. After the first round, the coach will definitely make a certain conclusions. There is already information about possible changes in the lineup. The option of Adam Pozek starting looks especially interesting, because he came on very well after the substitution. Plus, the Czech Republic simply has a higher quality squad than the current South Africa. Now let's look at the African team. Honestly, the match against Mexico left a very heavy impression. South Africa showed almost nothing going forward. Only 3 shots in the match, laughable expected goal numbers, and almost a complete lack of chances. Yes, the team played part of the match with fewer players, but even before the red cards, there was not much threat. Another problem is suspensions. 2 players will miss the match after red cards in the first round. For a team with already limited squad depth, this is a very serious blow. The midfield suffer especially, where there were already problems with organization. Another thing that stands out is how difficult South Africa finds matches against organized European teams. The Czech Republic is exactly that kind of team. They don't play reckless football, don't open up unnecessarily, and feel quite comfortable playing as the more pragmatic side. That means South Africa will have to create something themselves going forward. And that is exactly where they are struggling right now. I am taking Czech Republic team total over 1 goal. For the wild parlay, I'll take 1x plus under 2.5 goals at odds of around 2.1. Second parlay, second pick, Switzerland versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. I found a very interesting option for the parlay here, and now I'll explain why I like it. At first glance, it may seem that after the first round, we should expect open football, because both teams lost wins literally in the final minutes. But if you take a closer look at the style of these national teams, this looks more like a fairly cautious and sticky match. Let's start with Switzerland. Their first match against Qatar was a real disappointment. In terms of the game, the Swiss fully controlled what was happening on the pitch, created a huge number of chances, led on the scoreboard, and should have calmly finished the match with a win. The expected goals advantage was massive, but finishing let them down again. In the end, Qatar used one of its rare chances and stole a draw right at the end. Now the situation for Switzerland is very simple. Another points loss could seriously complicate the fight to get out of the group. So Murat Yakin's team will think first of all about the result, not about beautiful football, especially because the finishing problem has not disappeared. Even with a large number of chances, Switzerland does not always turn its advantage into many goals. Now let's talk about Bosnia. For a World Cup debutant, a draw with Canada is a very decent result. Sergei Barbarov's team played exactly as expected. Very organized, compact, with a tight defense and focus on set pieces and quick transitions. Bosnia opened the scoring after a corner, held the lead for a long time and only allowed the opponent to equalize near the end. In general, Bosnia now has a very interesting run. The team keeps playing draws and almost all of its matches are low scoring. The last 6 matches have all gone under the total. And that is easy to explain. Barbaros understands the limits of his team very well and builds the game from defense. If we look at the styles of the teams, a pretty clear scenario appears here. Switzerland will have more of the ball and will try to break down a crowded defense. Bosnia will sit deep, suffer, and look for chances from set pieces and counterattacks. At the same time, both teams understand the cost of a mistake in the second round. I don't think anyone will fly forward from the first minutes here. For Bosnia, even a draw would be a good result. Switzerland, after the slip-up against Qatar, will also probably not want to open the game up and allow dangerous counters. That's why for the parlay I'm taking under 3 goals. For the wild parlay I'll take 1x plus both teams to score yes at odds of around 2.4.